Hello and welcome back to the Lost Artistry Lash channel. Today we're diving deep into lash consultation, but I'm not doing it with my client standing in front of me. Instead, I'm going to show you how I do consultation at home before my client ever walks in the door. This saves me so much time during my lash services. All right, let's dive into the planning. I'm really excited to share this with you guys and cannot wait to hear what you think about my consultation process because it definitely is unique to us here at Lost Artistry. I full-blown invented this, to my knowledge at least. Anyways, so my process is, as soon as my clients book, I have an automated message that gets sent out to them where I ask them for an inspiration photo. So a photo or two, however many they want, of a lash set or sets that they really love, like their dream lash set. And then I also ask them for a full face photo and a close-up photo of their eyes so that I can start planning out their lash set. From here, I take those photos, I go into the Procreate app, it looks like this here, and I pull in the photos of my client to start planning. So I take my inspiration photo, I have that on the side of me, and I try to figure out how I'm gonna bring this set to life on this client. So we just recently launched a tool called Digital Lash Tools, where we have actually made the consultation process super easy for you. So in this toolkit, you're gonna get a crazy amount of lash stamps so that you can actually trial different lash sets on your clients to see which set will suit them best. So even if they don't send you an inspiration photo, that's okay. Still have them send you photos of their eyes or their face, and then you can start trying different sets on them and send them to your clients and see which set they like most. So you can see with a click of a button what any type of lash set or drama will look like on that client. But today my client's very specific. This is the look she wants. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a stamp that looks similar to the lash set that my client wants, which to me is the Wispy Cat set. So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna pull it into the app. It's really cool. It's just a click of a button and the set is on there. And I'm just gonna adjust the sizing of that. And this set is very heavily directed out and it has much less intensity on the inner corner. So I'm gonna actually manipulate this stamp, and you can totally use our tools here to draw it as well. If I wanted to just draw this set out, I could use my lash brushes, I could pick different diameters, and I could actually physically draw any set I want on my client. But for sake of ease and just to save time, I'm gonna use the stamps. So if I click on this warp button here, I'm gonna be able to change the direction of the set because you can see here, the set's super directed out. So I need to replicate that for my client. Direction is so important. I'm gonna line the set up with my client's eyes as well to make sure it fits. So this is looking pretty good directionally and set-wise. Now the inner corner is, I don't need the inner corner to look like that at all, so I'm actually gonna erase that. And I'm gonna draw the rest of the set to be exactly the way I want it. But I'm loving the look of the outer corner. If I wanna make it even shorter, I can do that and just make it smaller. You can really manipulate it to see what any length, curl, shaping will look like on your client. But I am feeling really good about the way the outer corner looks. Now I'm just gonna use my brushes and I'm gonna finish it off. Go to lash brushes, 0.03. And when I'm working with a heavy directional pattern, I wanna make sure that the lashes I draw are directed in the right way. And this is a really important thing to touch on because if I'm choosing a stamp that has lashes that are directed out, I'm not just drawing them that way and then doing a completely different pattern on my client. This shows me, oh, I need to direct my lashes in that exact same manner when I'm actually lashing. So it's really cool to be able to design your set in this way. I'm just gonna draw these on quick. Again, look how much I'm directing the lashes toward the outer corner. So much. So chances are when I'm lashing, my lashes are gonna be connected by about maximum 1 millimeter of the natural lash. Now, this set is done in dark brown. My client has told me that she wants a black lash set, so I am gonna change the color, so it is gonna look a little different. You can, if you wanted to do a brown lash set, you can totally change the color to any color you want to see how that would look on your client. But this is looking pretty good. I'm just gonna add a little more wispiness in this area because it does look a little more uniform here. And what I'm noticing when I'm drawing this on, how many different lengths do I believe I need in order to bring this set to life? And I'm really seeing, when I'm drawing this in order to make it look like the set, I'm really seeing that I need multiple lengths per every section. So I'm probably gonna mix 3 or 4 different lengths into every section that I have. And I'm not using fans here. There's not a lot of fluffiness. It's more of a wet lash type effect. So that shows me if I'm not drawing in fans, if I'm not really needing a lot of density, then I'm probably not going to use a lot of fans in the set. I may use a few open fans in very short lengths across the bottom layer only. It is here looking a little more dense, but I might not even need to, because when I zoom in on Nia's lash line here, I also like to look at the layers, and she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She has like at least 5 layers across her entire eye, which is almost unheard of. So if we get a lot of coverage for her, it's going to look dense no matter what, even if I use only soft wet lash fans. And when I zoom in on this set here, it looks really airy across the tips. It's not really stark looking. And that to me tells me that I need 0.03 or 0.05 diameter lashes. I think I'm gonna stick to 0.03 because I'm gonna use her high lash count to really give me the darkness that comes along with this set. So from here, I believe that this looks very, very similar to the set, and I think it's gonna look really good. So now what I have to do is figure out the mapping for the set. So I'm looking at both these. I'm looking at her natural lash count, her natural lash lift to decide where to go from here and start building a proper plan. So I'm done drawing the lash set. So instead of using my tools for drawing, I'm gonna go to sketching. Also guys, if you love the idea of this app so that you can really bring your consultation to the next level with your clients, I wanna give you a 20% off discount code. Just comment below and I will happily send you that 20% off code. I'll make one exclusively for you to get the tools. And with the tools, you don't just get this and then you're just thrown in not really knowing how to use them, because there is a little bit of a technique to it. Like you saw that I was warping and I was changing and drawing. We have so many tutorials that you get completely for free when you purchase the digital lash tools. So we'll show you exactly how to use them, and we have tutorials on consultation in those tutorials as well. Okay, so now it's one thing to draw a beautiful lash set and to make it look good on your client, which I think this looks exactly like I do for the most part. Okay, so now I need to build a map. So the first thing I'm looking at that I want to write out is direction. So my direction is, for the most part, 100% directed out. I am not going to be directing my lashes up toward the eyebrow. Everything's going to be directed outward. So that's going to be really important in order to successfully execute this set. Now let's look at our curls. So when I zoom in here, I see a lot of softness here. I don't see a big curl or lift on that outer corner. The sleekness is actually coming from the lack of curl. So that to me proves that the set was done with a B curl, at least on the top layer. So we're gonna use a B curl on the top, for sure. But then when I look at the bottom and I zoom in, I do see a little bit of a kink on the bottom layer. If I look closely at the base of the lash here, it looks like our L curl was used for the base. And that's gonna help us get more of a dark effect across the bottom too. If I'm to use a B curl, we're gonna get a little bit too much softness. We want softness across the tips, but we also want darkness across the base. So what I'm gonna do is use B curl on the top and middle layer. And then my bottom layer is gonna be our L curl. Guys, our L curl looks more like this, not like that. So our L curl is quite soft in comparison to other people's L curls. So please do know that if you are to replicate this look, if you have this curl, it is not going to work. We have more of like an L C type effect. So it's like an L and a C mixed together, and that is what we classify as an L curl. I believe L curl should be wearable, and that is why we've chosen to do our L a little softer. This would be considered our M, and this is our L. So now that I know that's what's going on the bottom layer and that's what's going on the top layer, now I need to figure out my fan types. So as we've already talked about, if my client had less natural lashes, I would 100% do open fans across the base in much shorter lengths because I don't want it to change the effect of the tips. So I would do open fans in shorter lengths, like maybe my longest length would be about 9mm. I'm just trying to build a liner type effect across the bottom layer. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. So 9mm max on that outer portion, probably from here to here, will be all 9mm, and that's just gonna lift everything up. That's gonna make the B curl look lifted but still soft, which is definitely the look that we're going for. And then from the middle of the eye to the inner corner where the eye's already lifted, see here where the eye lifts up, from this point to this point, we're gonna use 100% B curl. We don't need extra lift here, and our attention is really intended to be toward the outer portion of the eye, so I don't need extra lift in here. I will say C curl was likely used for this client, but we can't replicate someone else's mapping exactly and expect the same results because everyone has different natural lashes. And Nia's are already so lifted in here that if I'm to use a C curl, it's gonna overpower, and that's not what I want. If anything, I want even less attention brought to the inner to middle section of the eye, and most of my focus being on the outer portion of the eye. So where the eye starts to descend down, this is where my lengths are gonna really lift up. So on the top layer, I also have to be really careful because I want these B curls to really stand out. I want them to look lifted but also sleek. So my placement on the natural lash is gonna have to be really, really, really in the back of my mind. Here's what it's gonna look like. On the outer portion for sure, instead of trying to make the most points of contact as I can with the natural lash, which would look a little something like this with a B curl, see how many points of contact I've made here? Lots. A lot of people think they have to do this because they can't get good retention without doing this, but that's inaccurate. If you make a solid connection, it doesn't matter how much of the natural lash is connected, as long as there is a flush connection between the base of the natural lash and the extension. So my placement is actually gonna look a little more like this. See how it is still a B curl? There's not much curl to it, but it looks much more lifted. And that's because there's only about 1mm, not even, of connection between the natural lash and the base of the extension. So your placement's gonna be really important. So not only are we placing on the top of the natural lash, we're also placing on the side. So we're top side. So we're really only focusing on the smallest point of connection, and that is going to be really important in order to bring this effect to life. So we're using B curl and L curl, which is gonna be great. I'm mixing multiple lengths per section. So how that looks is, let's say my mapping looks a little like this. Out here is gonna be 15mm, and then we're gonna go 13, 12, 11, and then we're probably, where the eye's already lifted, we're probably just gonna go down to 9, and then 8, 7, 6. So my mapping's gonna look a little something like this, and then this area here is gonna have L curl, B on top, and then this area is gonna be all B curl. So even though I'm saying 15mm is in this section, honestly, I'm also gonna mix, even on the top and middle layer, 13s, 12s, and probably 11s as well. So my placement's gonna look a little like this. 15, 13, 12, 11, something like that. And I'm gonna repeat that over and over in this small section here for the top and middle layer. Then the bottom layer is all gonna be 9mm to give me darkness. And that's gonna help lift the B curl up even more as well. So that's called feathering. If you're not familiar with that technique, we do have other videos on it. Please do let us know if you'd like one. So this is a little bit about what our mapping is gonna look like. Fan wise, we are truly just sticking with closed wet lash fans. I can tell that that's what was used here because see how they point at the tips, but they're really airy. This is not classic lashes. You cannot get this effect with classics. You can only get it with wet lashes. So this is probably 0.03 or 0.05 in closed wet lash fans. And then we'll see how much darkness we get with just the wet lash fans, but I might do a mix of wet lash fans because she has such a high lash count, a mix of wet lash fans and narrow fans across the base in that L curl only. So that's kind of how I plan the set out. And then I use this mapping and everything. And when my client comes in, I'll actually look at her eye shape and I'll put dots on the eye. So it would look a little something like this. Let me just erase this here for you guys for a sec, if I can. So when she comes in, I'm gonna see my mapping over here. It looks a little like this. I know my longest lengths start where the eye starts to descend. So I'm gonna have her look straight ahead, which she's doing in this photo, and I'm gonna put a dot on her eye right here. And that tells me this is where my L curl starts. And from every point over, we're doing B curl. And then my sections are gonna look a little like this. And it's so important to do this when your client's eyes are actually open, because you can't tell where the lifts and tilts of the eye are when the client's eyes are closed. It's all gonna look even. There's a very high chance, because the eye does descend down here, there's a very high chance that I'm gonna actually do something really crazy and not lash any of these lashes right here. So we're gonna pretend like they don't even exist. That's not gonna be noticeable because I'm working with such a heavy directional pattern. If I do my 15mm here, then I'm directing out, so it's actually gonna cover that whole area here and look more lifted. So you won't actually even be able to tell that this area here has no lashes in it. So my mapping will look a little something like this, potentially. I might end up playing around and doing, like, after I look at the set, if I get her to open her eyes and it's not looking long enough, I might put some 15s in my 13 section or even some 15s in my 12 section. Just a few in there to really give more lift to that area without adding them into anywhere else. So it is about creating a map, but then also about having the ability to pivot when you look at your set and see what needs to be done. If there's any changes or if there's any extra length that you need anywhere, put it in. There's no reason why you can't tentatively finish the set and then go back in, take off a few lashes and put some other ones on there. You'd be so surprised by how just a few additional long length lashes can change the whole aesthetic of your set. So that is my plan. Question is, am I gonna be able to execute this? Let's dive into it. And if you guys have any questions on consultation or anything at all lash related, let me know. I love chatting lashes and I really do want to make videos that are tailored to what you want to see. All right, let's try to bring this set to life. Alrighty guys, the set is done. Tell me, did I successfully execute the plan? If yes, comment below, and if no, also comment below and let me know how you think I could have done a little bit better on this set. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.